So for example, let me, this is gonna be my dot loop. So obviously it's gonna look a lot different than everybody else's because I have all the templates and everything set up that I need. So I have certain documents like as is sale addendum set up in there. So that this way for specific properties, if we're doing it as is sale, I already have that form in there and I don't have to go through each time and add it. That's going to be why you would have your own templates and everything in there, is if you have personal documents that you're adding to them as well. As you'll see too, if I click BCCR documents, you have to be a member of Burlington-Camden County Association of Realtors in order to actually be able to get into their docs and dot loop. If you have issues with that, obviously talk to Maureen is probably going to be best bet. Questions, concerns with templates before I move on to the next step? Go ahead.
I came from the sewer office, so I'm not part of BCCAR, I'm part of Gloucester, and, they wouldn't cooperate with .loop, so, I just noticed that there were different documents, like, when I went through the BCCAR documents, they're like, just say the listing agreement or the buyer's order, it was different than just the regular version now documents. The contract was different, is that for reasons why?
The reason is that Burlington-Camden County Association of Realtors won't let us put their documents in version now because they want to be able to update it at all times. So this way, when they make any changes or anything to it, that everybody's not on a delay and it's all updated at the same time.
So would that mean that any documents that I did pull from version now, because I'm not part of that association for now, is not in compliance or is not?
It's not that it's not in compliance, it's just going to be an older version of the document, so it's not going to correspond with all of the new updates and everything, especially with everything that happened October 3rd with TRID. The thing that I would keep in mind though is as of beginning of next year, the talk is that everybody in New Jersey is going to a standard contract, so it's not going to be per association or things like that. So they're still working out all the details of that, but obviously once we go to standard contract, it's going to be in version now anyway with the new contract. Any other questions, templates?
So when something changes, it automatically goes into dot loop, you never really have to go to BCCAR and...
Correct. Yeah, whenever BCCR updates their documents, if we update documents as the office as a whole, they'll do that on the back end. You never have to do anything, and you'll just go through one day and notice that obviously the data contract has changed down the bottom, and there might be specific things in there new. Go ahead.
Can you add text to any template?
With a caveat somewhat. If it's an office document that they've set up, you can't go in and add text boxes or change around anything, but what you can do, so like if I go into, so as you'll see, this is a document that the office set up. I don't have privileges to go in and edit that because of the fact that it's for everybody in the whole office. Everybody sees the same thing. But what I can do is I can make my own template folder in .loop and then copy it over, and then I have edit privileges on it because of the fact that it's now in my template folder instead of the office's template, if that makes sense, somewhat.
So you can like save it as your own, but then if there are any updates,
It wouldn't update on your side, yes.
okay.
But as you'll see, like I said, everything for Jersey and PA is all in there pretty much already and all set up for you. The good thing with PA too, whereas Burlington-Camden County, you have to be a member in order to get into their documents. If you're licensed in PA, the way we have it set up for the office, you don't actually have to be a member of the PA Association of Realtors. We copied all the documents and you have access to them at all times. The next tab over is going to be people. You can set up trusted service providers for every loop. So if you have a mortgage company, title company that you use on every transaction, you can go in to the people tab and set them up. So this way, whenever you create a loop, all you have to do is hit their information down the bottom and hit connect, and it'll automatically add them to the loop as able to see everything that's in it. So if I go, so for example, let's just say for hypothetical reason, because this person's already set up in there, that they're my mortgage lender. I'm going to go in, I'm going to click that, and I'm going to hit add lenders. I'm going to jump from people over to loops for a sec. So you'll see once you add those trusted service providers, they're going to show up down the bottom of every loop, and all you have to do is hit it and hit connect pretty much. So this way they have access rather than putting in their information every time for every single loop.
Did you put them in the contracts or they were already in there?
Those people, there's a lot of people in there already because of the fact that they're actually members of dotloop and set up as a mortgage professional, title professional, things like that. So they're already all in there. But of course you can add your own as well by just putting in their name, email address, and phone number. Once I do and add them to that loop, they have access to all those documents at any time. So if I'm working with a mortgage person, it's pretty good. So instead of having to email documents back and forth, if they need something, they can log right in and pull it up at any time. So that's one of the things you'll want to do from the start too, is set up all those people in there. So this way it's done and then you can just add them easier down the line. You'll also see too, the other button is going to be contacts. All your MyKW contacts will pull over into dotloop and vice versa. So if you're adding a new contact in dotloop to sign documents, they're also going to sync with MyKW as well. So you have them in both. Any questions with people or trusted service providers? No? Go ahead.
So you're saying if they're in my KW, they will automatically be able to be in here?
Correct.
Or not, if they're in dotloop, they'll automatically be in here?
Correct. So once you add them as a new person in dotloop, it's going to sync them to MyKW and vice versa. So if you're looking at the contacts tab, this is going to show the people that are in MyKW database. Obviously, they're all BS ones from people that we've set up in past classes and everything. So. The next tab over is going to be tasks. You can go in and set up tasks and everything for each specific loop if something has to get done, things like that. I wouldn't advise you using it yet just because of the fact that there's no notification system for tasks yet. So if you're setting up a task for a certain date, unless you're actually in that loop on that date, you're not going to see a reminder for it as of yet. I know that's one of the things that they are working on that is coming. So this way you can set up your whole checklist in there and then it'll automatically remind you as well. That's something that's coming in the future though. I'm going to skip over loops for now and jump to the dashboard. Dashboard is just a simple way to see how many sales you've had year to date based on the status of the loops, how many loops, things like that. Okay. So loops is going to be where you spend 95% of your time in dotloop. It's going to be, think of it the same way as if you had a paper file for the transaction. So instead of having that file that has everything in it, it's going to be in dotloop as a loop. Keep in mind too, obviously, that our office is 100% paperless. So in order for you to get paid at the end of the transaction, all the documents have to be in dotloop as well and get submitted to the office at the right time at closing and then the other steps along the way too. When you first log in, it's probably going to look something like this with pictures and everything like that. I usually like to change it to, if you go right up here and click the little button with the lines, list view, because instead of having to look through pictures for every single transaction, you can see a nice list of everything all at once. When you're creating a loop, the loop always has to be the property address. If you're working with new buyers, you can have it as the buyer's name up until the time you get under contract, but once it goes under contract, in order for compliance for the office, it actually has to be set up as the property address, so this way they know what they're looking at rather than just seeing John and Sally Smith, because they have no idea who that is or what property it is. So I'm going to create a loop. This is going to be, you're going to create a loop when you have a new buyer you're working with, a new listing, and things like that. There's always going to be those two files. So let's do, you'll see too, addresses are going to pull over from Google Maps, things like that. So this way it automatically fills in as well. Questions so far? So this is going to be my loop. Each loop has individual folders in it. You want to create specifically, especially when you have a listing, you're always going to want to have at least two folders in that loop, one for the listing documents and then one for the buyer documents. So this way, if that buyer were